For a hot second earlier this year, Michelle Bachmann, the congresswoman from Minnesota, was the frontrunner in the race for the Republican nomination for president. Michelle Bachmann, you may recall, she stormed into Iowa. She won the Ames, Iowa straw poll, and she looked like a real force to be reckoned with in Republican presidential politics. Then people started Googling Michelle Bachmann, which did not bode well for her presidential chances. Her husband, Marcus Bachmann, for example, turns out to run a counseling clinic in Minnesota that, among its other services, has offered in the past to cure people of the gay. Mr. Bachmann also on record reportedly talking about gay people by saying, quote, "Barbarians need to be educated." That comment led to one of the more amazing protest scenes that we have seen in the entire 2012 presidential election season. A group of protesters dressed as barbarians conducting a flash mob coordinated dance routine to Lady Gaga outside of Michelle Bachmann's husband's ex-gay counseling clinic in Minnesota. Now, while striking as a protest technique, the barbarian flash mob does not really have wide applicability to other politicians. We've not seen other coordinated dance routines, gay, barbarian, or otherwise, used against the other candidates this year. Although a girl can dream. We have, however, had a flurry of glitterings this year. If you are a candidate who is being glittered or who is being, in the case of, the case of Tim Pawlenty, a candidate who is being confettied, how do you handle that as a candidate? I mean, really, there's not much for the candidate to do in this circumstance, right? There's no real way to come out of that looking great. I think essentially you should just wait till it's over. It's probably the best advice for how to deal with that. More recently, we have seen another new protest tactic gain some traction across the country, and that is the human mic. The human mic is an Occupy Wall Street innovation. In the absence of a microphone, it's a means of communicating to a large group of people.
Mic check! Mic check! We amplify each other's voices.
We amplify each other's voices.
No matter what's said.
No matter what's said.
So we can hear one another.
So we can hear one another.
So it all starts with somebody yelling, "Mic check." And the crowd repeats that, and then the message gets delivered by human communication. The human mic and the mic check phenomenon, turns out, can also be used to interrupt other people's events. And that is something that political figures this year have to be prepared for. We have now seen a wide range of responses to the mic check being used as a political interruption. Some of these responses are effective, some not so much.
We'll take one more question.
Yeah, it looks like time's running out.
Yeah.
Mic check. Mic check. We are the 99%.
We are the 99%.
We will be heard.
We will be heard.
There are criminals on Wall Street.
There are criminals on Wall Street.
We want free.
We want free.
There are protesters in jail.
There are protesters in jail.
There is something wrong.
There is something wrong
With this system.
with this system.
We are the 99%.
Do you feel better?
Do you feel better? Last week, George W. Bush's former senior advisor and now Fox News personality Karl Rove came face-to-face himself with the human mic. Here's how Karl Rove responded.
By today, it's equal to 70% of GDP.
Mic check!
And the
Mic check! Mic check!
Mic check!
Karl Rove!
Karl Rove!
The architect!
Is the architect!
Architect of Occupy Iraq!
The architect of Occupy Iraq!
Architect of Occupy Afghanistan!
All right, here's the deal. Here's the deal. If you believe in free speech, then you have a chance to show it. If you believe in the right of the First Amendment to free speech, then you demonstrate it by shutting up and waiting until the Q&A session. Line up behind.
Karl Rove engaging the crowd in verbal combat there. If you believe in free speech, then you ought to shut up. Michelle Bachmann recently encountered the human mic during a foreign policy speech in South Carolina.
American consumers, President.
Mic check! Mic check! Mic check! This will only take a minute.
This will only take a minute.
We have a message for Miss Bachmann.
We have a message for Ms. Bachmann.
You sit down.
Sit down.
So there's a spectrum of ways to respond to the human mic interruption as a protest tactic. For Ron Paul, it was waiting till the end and then being a little condescending. Feel better? For Karl Rove, anger. For Michelle Bachmann, freezing with your eyes wide open and then running away. None of those options, I think it's fair to say, went all that great for the Politico at the center of those human mic interruption protests. Today in New Hampshire, the President of the United States was mic checked. And President Obama chose to handle it rather differently than how the Republicans have been dealing with it.
Before I came to school today, I had coffee.
Mr. President!
Over 4,000 peaceful protesters.
Over 4,000 peaceful protesters!
And arrested.
No, it's okay. That's okay. Okay, it's okay. That's all right. Listen, I'm going to be talking about a whole range of things today, and I appreciate you guys making your point. Let me go ahead and make mine, all right? And I'll listen to you, you listen to me, all right? Young people like the ones here today, including the ones who were just chanting at me, you're the reason I ran for office in the first place. Because it's folks like you who are why I spent so much time up here in the dead of winter 4 years ago. There's a profound sense of frustration about the fact that the essence of the American dream, which is if you work hard, if you stick to it, that you can make it, feels like that's slipping away. And that's not the way things are supposed to be. Not here, not in America.
After the president finished speaking today, including a by-name reference to the Occupy movement from the president, an AP photographer named Charles Darapak captured this moment. It's a young man in the crowd handing President Obama a note. A close-up shot of that note shows that it's the script that the human mic interruption protesters were trying to use when they interrupted the president's speech in New Hampshire today. You have this guy essentially delivering a confrontational message to the president of the United States. But look at this is an amazing photo. Look at the look on the kid's face. And look at the looks on the faces of the people around him up that close with the president. It's kind of an amazing campaign shot from that AP photographer. His name Charles Darapak. This is one of those ones that probably goes into the awards shortlists.